19 years old, scraping by on 30,000 a year in a rented flat that isn't quite warm. Mid-morning, your roommate's alarm bleeds through the thin wall and won't stop. You pull on the coat and feel the loose coins settle in the pocket. Just after 9, you tap the worn card and climb onto the bus. By the station doors, a collector waits in a red tabard. "Just £1 a month?" he asks, clipboard tilted toward you. You dig out the coins and drop them, and the tin rattles. Walking past those doors, spare change is all your wage will free. By midday, you eat a meal deal sandwich on a cold bench. At the till, the cashier asks if you want to round up. You nod, and the total climbs to the nearest dollar for the appeal. Scrolling later, you tap a friend's fundraiser link and give $5. A warm ping arrives, a thank you text you didn't expect. You drop a bag of tins into the food bank crate by the exit. The volunteer gives you a genuine, grateful nod. The crate sits full in the fading afternoon light. Past 8, you text a keyword to the disaster appeal on the telly. Instant noodles steam in the bowl while the news runs on. You scroll the group chat and a friend thanks you again. An early night, and you gave coins you'll quietly miss. 23 now, earning $55,000 in a small one-bed flat. Your own alarm goes, and the coffee machine gurgles awake in the kitchen. Just past 8, you push off on the bike with the earbuds set. You open the bank app and watch the monthly debit leave for the shelter. The monthly email loads with a photo of the child you help. A supporter care agent calls, thanks you warmly, and gently asks if you'd raise the gift. A pang hits when the please increase letter lands on the mat. By midday, you eat the home-packed lunch at your desk. You sign an online petition and share the fundraising page. You nudge a colleague at the next desk to sponsor your 10K run. You sort the old clothes into the charity shop bag by the door. The packed bag waits quiet against the flat door. Past 7, the midweek takeaway lands on the sofa beside you. Tonight, a documentary about a flooded village stays with you long after it ends. Moved, you set up a second small monthly gift before bed. Days later, a welcome pack arrives with an enamel supporter badge inside. Evening gym, then a friend's dinner out. Weekends still your own. By the bedside lamp, the giving is now a line you barely notice, because the pay finally covers it. At 31, the household clears $110,000, and the terraced house is mortgaged, but yours. The family stirs early, and there's a school run to plan before anyone's dressed. You drive in with coffee in the cup holder and park in the office lot. At 9, you tick the payroll giving box, and the gift comes pre-tax straight off the pay before you ever see it. The office charity champion stops by and pitches this year's cause with real heat. You buy 2 tickets to the hospital gala on the way past reception. Buy 1, a canteen tray, and the day settles into the middle of itself. At the office bake sale, you fold 2 notes into the jar and take the worst-looking flapjack. By afternoon, the development officer emails you by first name, inviting you to a supporter's reception. You RSVP yes to the museum friends evening on the drive home. After work, you're up a ladder in the school field, stringing raffle bunting between 2 posts. At the kitchen table that night, you and your partner argue gently over which cause gets the money this year. The marquee stands empty, tables laid, candles unlit. Past 7, you cut into dry gala chicken, and the marquee hums with polite talk. You lift the auction paddle, get outbid twice, and set it down feeling suddenly small. Weeks later, your name is printed in the annual report's supporter list, and you read it more than once. Family dinner at home. The giving now runs to thousands a year. Comfortable, but counted to the pound. A rare gala night behind you. The bedroom light goes off early. By 40, you're pulling around $400,000 a year, and the detached house sits back off the road. Quiet. The house is still when you wake, the cleaner letting herself in downstairs. By 10, a taxi carries you to a lunch someone else is hosting. On the way, a major gifts officer calls and floats a naming opportunity in your ear. Mid-morning, you pull a hard hat over your good shirt and walk the half-built hospice wing. You sign the pledge form for a five-figure gift and cap the pen. At 1, lunch at a restaurant with cloth napkins, the whole bill covered by the charity. Over coffee, you thumb through a bespoke impact proposal made only for you. The chief executive rings you himself, warm, unhurried, using your first name. Your wealth advisor shows how the tax relief stretches each pound you give further than the pound itself. At the private view, you take a canapé and feel, faintly, that you are being handled. The new door stands closed, a small cloth draped over the plaque beside it. Someone pulls the cloth, and your name sits carved on the plaque by the door. Past 8, you're at a small donor dinner, seated close enough to the CEO to hear him think aloud. You block out the coming weekend at the second home. No work in it. The bedroom is quiet now, and the paid help has bought the evening back for you. By 48, you're worth in the region of 10 million, in a house with grounds you rarely walk to the end of. The housekeeper brings coffee to a study with a long view of the lawn. A driver waits in the drive, or you turn instead to the glass home office and its art. At 9, you open the Donor Advised Fund portal and click 3 grants gone in a morning. A university's development VP dials in and proposes an endowed scholarship carrying your name. You sign the deed for the named fund and slide it back across the desk. By 1, lunch comes in the members' club dining room, no menu prices in sight. Midday, you walk a gallery wing that wears your family name over the arch. At the club, your philanthropy advisor lays out a short list of causes worth backing. Your family office giving manager explains the fund now pushes out 6 figures a year on its own. The pitches in letters never stop. Stacked in a pile, the assistant thins each morning. The study sits still, the ground stretching green beyond the glass. A scholar you funded crosses the room and shakes your hand, and that lands harder than any plaque. Past 8, a tasting menu at the naming celebration. Course after course, you barely finish. Tonight, there's an opera box and fellow donors filling the seats beside you. You wake in the master suite with a calendar almost entirely your own to command. By 59, you're worth hundreds of millions, and the estate breathes with staff before you rise. Staff are already moving downstairs when your assistant's briefing lights up your phone. Your driver takes you to your foundation's own offices, glass doors with your name cut above them. At 9, you chair the board and set grant strategy. You sign the multi-year grant letters one by one. Program officers spread a portfolio of causes across the table for your call. Giving runs to millions now, and it fills your days like a full job you never once applied for. By 1, lunch is catered into the boardroom and eaten between votes. That afternoon, you fly out to a clinic your money built. You cut the ribbon, scissors heavy in hand. The village clinic opens under your name, its doors swinging wide to a line of people who have waited since before dawn. Ministers and NGO chiefs press close for your funding. The flattery never stops around you, and you can no longer tell which of these smiling faces means a single word of it. At dusk, the finished clinic stands quiet in its doorway. Over dinner, you trade strategy with policy experts late into the night. Later, you sit as guest of honor at a gala dinner given in your name. The day was yours to shape, yet the giving has become a full occupation, and you sleep in a still estate bedroom. By 67, your wealth is counted in billions, and you wake in one of several homes. A security detail waits below while an aide runs through the day's schedule. By 7, a private jet lifts you toward the summit. On the keynote stage, you announce a 9-figure commitment to the crowd. You direct the CEO you hired to carry the strategy forward. Across the table sit heads of state, mapping with you how to wipe a single disease off the earth for good. You sign the giving pledge, promising away most of a fortune. At midday, the summit banquet goes cold, barely touched between sessions. Nobel scientists your money funds report their progress across the table. The press corner you, accusing you of buying influence with every gift. The eradication chart shows a disease nearly gone, driven down by your grants. The stage sits empty before the fireside talk. By evening, you take the fireside chair for a conversation on wealth and duty. You tell your giving manager to fund the street tin drives, the tins you once dug coins for at a station door. Your money now stocks the food bank crates you once carried a bag of tins to. 9 figures leave with a nod on your phone, where $5 once stung to give. From a tin rattled by a station door to a named institution that spans the globe, you close your eyes on the day. An aide wakes you in one of several homes, the schedule already open. Past 70 now, you move hundreds of millions a year, and a jet waits on the strip. The grounds lie silent before the security detail stirs. Just after 7, a motorcade rolls you out to the airfield. The jet cabin takes you toward the health summit. You brief your CEO over the strategy deck spread wide across the cabin table as the coastline falls away beneath the wing. You tell him to redraw the global grant map before you land. A Nobel laureate your money funds crosses to greet you at the door. By midday, you take your seat at the round table among heads of state. You step to the keynote stage and commit another 9 figures aloud. The delegates rise as your pledge lands, applause rolling up the hall. The banquet plate before you goes cold again between sessions. A president leans across the table and asks, quietly, for your backing. The corridor empties between speeches, and for a moment, the marble runs quiet. You sign a fresh 9-figure commitment to finish off a disease. A UN official spreads a map and traces the last endemic districts with one finger. Every aide in the room tells you the plan is brilliant, and you trust none of them fully. Mid-afternoon, the jet stairs fold down and take you up again, toward the field. You land on a dirt strip beside the clinic your money built. You lift the scissors and cut the ribbon on the new maternity ward. Inside, mothers hold babies born safe under this roof. A program officer walks you bed to bed and lays out the numbers that held. On the coverage chart, whole districts still sit uncolored, and their weight settles on you. Dusk comes down soft over the clinic courtyard. You sit on a low step and share rice and beans with the village nurses. On the outside wall, children have painted your foundation's name in bright, uneven letters. Past 9, the motorcade pulls you through the dark toward the next capital. A minister catches your sleeve and asks you to fund the schools, too. You turn to your CEO and tell him to approve the multi-year grants. Next dawn, your aide reads the day's demands off her tablet before your feet hit the floor. At last, you draw the giving pledge letter close and sign your name. Most of your fortune is promised away with that one stroke of ink. Fellow signatories raise their glasses across the room and toast the pledge. Your name now marks the nameplate of a whole global institution. The boardroom stills after the vote, chairs pushed back, the room holding its breath. You take the head of the table and chair the strategy for the coming decade. The dossier in front of you lists diseases that live or die on which line you fund. At the doors, the press lift their microphones and press you on your outsized power. On the eradication map, the last line finally drops to 0. You read the final case report, and the power to end a plague is yours to hold once. The jet window carries you home over cities your grants have touched. For one evening, the calendar page sits empty. You call your family office giving manager and tell him to fund the street tins. Your money now buys the red tabards that stand by the station doors. You order the supermarket roundup drives widened across every till. The same food bank crates you once filled by hand, you now fund by the 1,000. Dinner is at home, no summit, no press, just a plate and the lamp. A supporter care thank you letter reaches your desk, plain and handwritten. Your phone gives the same warm ping you once felt on a cold bus stop bench. The house sits still under the last of the evening light. You walk back to the old station where the tins once rattled past your empty pockets. A young collector by the doors shakes the same kind of rattling tin. You drop your coins in and tell her to keep going. You buy a meal deal sandwich and eat it on the old bench where you started. You turn the worn transit card in your fingers, the pavement giver and the pledge signer one man. The tin you could once barely fill is yours now to fill by the million.